Sam Bankman-Fried, founder of the now bankrupt crypto exchange FTX, found guilty on all 7 counts of fraud. While hopes of a U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF keeps Bitcoin at its highest level in over a year, looks like Christmas came early for the crypto industry. But there's one gloomy spot as capital investment slows down. Crypto VC funding is currently at its lowest point since 2020. Amidst regulatory uncertainty and liquidity crunch, a top U.S. crypto VC firm, Andreessen Horowitz, better known as A16Z, has set up another outpost in the United Kingdom. UK is tightening regulatory screws by setting high reporting standards for crypto firms through its travel rule, but it's also cooperating on digital assets with financial powerhouses from Asia to Europe. So, will the government be able to create a crypto ecosystem that strikes the right balance between oversight and innovation? And what investment opportunities does A16Z see in UK and Europe? Coming up on Word on the Block, Krishnan, partner at A16Z, who's also an informal advisor to Elon Musk, joins in to dive deep into those topics and a whole lot more. Crypto funding hit a 3-year low as venture capitalists pulled back in bear market conditions, high-profile scandals, and all of this amidst regulatory uncertainty. And the worst might be far from over. Rising inflation, interest rates have forced promising startups to lower their valuations, a sign that the air perhaps has come out of startup deal-making. And in the midst of all this doom and gloom, there's hope, though, that artificial intelligence, or AI, can open up new investment opportunities. So always a silver lining here. But the United States, once a leader in tech innovation, is grappling to adapt to new technologies and trying to push a square peg in a round hole, if you will, by applying old rules to Web3 and now AI. Amidst rising macroeconomic challenges and regulatory scrutiny, a leading American venture capital firm is looking to take some Silicon Valley glitz to the United Kingdom. Yeah, we've got Andreessen Horowitz, better to you known as A16Z, a name behind leading tech and crypto companies including Airbnb and Coinbase, is setting up its first office outside the US, and it's chosen the British capital as its next stop. So the question is, does the UK have forward-looking regulations? How big is the VC market anyway in the country? Let's dive into all that and more on this edition of Word on the Block, the series that takes a deeper dive into blockchain and all the emerging technologies that shape our world at the intersection of business, politics, and economy. It's what we cover right here on Forecast. I'm Forecast Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Well, today I am thrilled to welcome Krishnan, a partner at A16Z, who will lead the firm in London. This is really a big move here for the tech entrepreneur. Shriram is popularly known as an informal advisor as well to Elon Musk on Twitter, amongst other things, with stints at leading social media platforms, Google, Facebook, and Snap. Shriram has been at the forefront of some of the most exciting and disruptive trends in the industry. He also, by the way, hosts a podcast, the Arthi and Shriram Show, with his wife. You've moved from the US to the UK amidst all of this regulatory angst that we're seeing in some parts of the world and in other parts of the world really opening up. How have you been and how have things progressed since we last saw each other?
I believe now with our move to the UK, I think we are now officially A16Z. It's such a delight to be here. And it's been quite the dramatic, fun few months. The last time we spoke, I lived in a different continent, San Francisco, and we since then moved here with my family. We are opening up our new office. We have teammates flying over here. We have a lot of exciting things to work. So it's been great. It's been exciting.
Exciting how? Obviously the personal part, the disruption, but exciting in a way that I think the industry and investors and maybe the market wants to hear about. What are you seeing that potentially excites you? Movements in the space on the ground in Europe. That's different from perhaps what we're experiencing in other parts of the world.
What really kind of drove us and brought us to the UK was a couple of things. The first is, as a firm, we've always been fans of the amazing talent over here, and I have a couple of examples. But we have loved the academic ecosystem over here, and I'm not talking about just about the Oxford and Cambridges, which is obviously incredibly well known, but also colleges all over the country. So we have, as a firm, and not just in crypto, partnered with, invested in, worked with, been friends with a lot of people who have come out of these amazing institutions. So we knew that there was a lot of great talent that was always going to pull us here. And that heart of it, that's obviously at the core of what we do. The second part of it is, for us, what we really focus on is, hey, how do we make sure our founders, our entrepreneurs, the people we participate and work with have a stable, healthy ecosystem with clarity on the rules of the road for what they are building. And we were super pleased that how the government here has kind of really leaned in on making the UK a technology hub, a Web3 hub. What I would really like to point out is Crypto Startup School. So Crypto Startup School is our incubator program, which we ran last year, actually earlier this year rather, in LA. Very successful. Had some amazing companies that participated in it, and we kind of talked about it quite a bit. And what we announced is that we are going to hold the next edition of Crypto Startup School next spring. I get to meet some amazingly smart people in all, not just in founders, but from policymakers to other people in the venture capital and technology ecosystem, and it's just been fun. And I'm just here, I'm just getting started. We're just getting started, and it's going to be great.
And the learnings have been many. The challenges have been many. And then to download it to the next generation of founders and startups amidst what potentially is a much more welcoming and open kind of regulatory conversation, policy conversation that the UK specifically is having with the industry. How is that ecosystem, you think, going to play out in the UK? What will we see as a result of that? I mean, I think it's also notable that the UK ranked third in the world in crypto transaction volumes after the US and India. So there's a lot of appetite there.
Even if you take ourselves out of the equation, you're thinking about what does it take to have a fantastic entrepreneur ecosystem in a country, in any country. And you need a few raw ingredients. The first is you need amazing talent. You need amazing academic institutions, and the UK has that in spades. And and as I said earlier, it's colleges all over the country. Not just close to here in London or close by. So and this is not just in crypto. This is like multiple other sectors. We have amazing founders and people who are technologists out here. So that you need that. Like without amazing people wanting to build companies, you don't really, I don't think you can really get to the next step. The second part, I think, as you pointed out, is the existing crypto ecosystem out here. And if I can, I think we've been lucky as a firm to work with multiple founders actually over the years. So, for example, even before the crypto fund, I think, existed at Andreessen Horowitz, we worked with people like Herman Narula of Improbable, who I think the firm invested in back in 2015. So we always kind of had a partnership here. But over the last year, as kind of like, if you want to take it as a sign of our commitment to the UK, we have gone in much deeper. For example, earlier this year, we announced investment in a company called Jensen, which I think is on the cutting edge of crypto and protocols and AI and LLMs, kind of bringing to the couple of themes that you were talking about. We have other things in the works in the UK, which we hopefully can talk about soon. So that's that second part, which is like, hey, there's an existing ecosystem out here of founders, of people, of the community participating in crypto that we can partner with and be a part of, and be a contributor to. So that's, I think, number two. And I think the third is, as you pointed out, is the regulatory and policy environment. And there, is where we were, we have been heartened by what we've seen from the government and what we've heard from various other policymakers, various other kind of institutions out here about wanting the UK to be, one, a technology startup hub, and more particularly a hub for Web3 innovation. And you obviously seen comments from various, the Prime Minister on downwards on that. And so that's kind of the third, because we, at the end of the day, the founders we want to work with just want to know what the rules of the road are, and they want to get down to building, amazing platforms and technology that hopefully all of us can use. So the number one thing I often hear is, okay, how can the firm help people at some of the earliest stages, right? How can you help maybe connect people who back to other founders, other people in Silicon Valley, get them resources? And I think that kind of ties into Crypto Startup School. That was kind of amazing, and we obviously kind of built a community around these very, very early stage founders, and we want to bring that. So and for anyone watching this, whether you're a founder, whether you are just an enthusiastic member of the crypto or Web3 community, or just have ideas, I want to hear from you. Like, what do you think we can do and what we can bring to the table?
I'm curious, with founders and startups, what are those conversations like? What is your assessment of, is this a global issue? Are there pockets of opportunity here? And what are LPs, the principal investors, looking for before they write checks?
I think there are a couple of perspectives here. So even before I joined the firm, I was a very active personal investor, and it is clear that over the last, say, year and a half or two, the fundraising environment has changed dramatically. All right, and this is obviously not just a crypto conversation. And I know several founders, several CEOs across the board have had to make some very hard changes, and those are really hard. I've had to talk to a lot of the CEOs, and I've been on boards of companies I'm on boards of companies that have worked through some of those, and those are hard, right? You are kind of letting go, parting ways with people that you deeply care about, and there are obviously some like real deep human impact there. So when it comes to crypto, this is a story that we have seen before, where the crypto industry has been through previous bear cycles and bull cycles. And one of the patterns that you wind up seeing, and obviously if you're kind of going through as a founder, it may be a bit, maybe a bit hard to kind of look at history, but one of the patterns you wind up seeing, and I think the firm has wound up seeing, is that the bear market is usually the best time to go build, because there's less noise, there are less tourists, there are less people who are just here because of the hype, and you can kind of put your head down and you can really go build. And usually kind of some of the great companies on the industry are really kind of came out of the bear market era. And for us, we are long-term investors. We look at things on 7, 8, and we've actually seen some people building amazing products. So for example, this is one of my favorites, and I tweet about a lot, but one of my favorite products these days is Parcaster. It is a decentralized social platform. The Dan Romero and Varun founders are incredibly thoughtful builders, and they've been hard at work. I'm a product person, I'm a technologist, and what I can react to is people building stuff and things I can use. So I love kind of hanging out in Parcaster. I love kind of participating in conversations there, because I think that's what kind of brought a lot of us here, which is like actually amazing things that we can touch, feel, and use. So that gets me really going.
I totally want to hear more about that, but hang on to that thought. Of course, you're the guy to talk about it. Twitter or X, we're kind of still confused about that iconic blue and white bird logo. It's changing to X. Anyway, I want to ask Shriram, obviously, what's happening in the social media space with Twitter. Shriram happens to also be an informal advisor to Elon Musk, and also want to hear why Shriram is betting on decentralized social media networks. You heard a little bit about that, but more when we come back. Twitter or X, keeping pace with Twitter's recent changes can be quite the challenge, and Web3 holds the key to a permissionless and autonomous future. But the question arises, why aren't decentralized networks seeing the same level of popularity enjoyed by centralized social platforms like YouTube and TikTok? When Word on the Block returns.
Forecast News is your gateway to all things blockchain, breaking down and breaking through the noise with the people who know it best and why it matters. We go to where the action is, from Asia to the world. Forecast Forecast is the most reliable source of intellectual discourse and insight that informs, educates, and bridges the gap between the blockchain industry and the mainstream. The future is being built, and Forecast has it covered. This is Forecast News.
Welcome back to Word on the Block. I'm your host, Angie Lau, and I'm here with Krishnan of A16ZZ. A16Z. A16Z.
I love it. I'm working on my British accent. A16Z, right? Like, so we need our British viewers here to tell us how to pronounce it, right? And by the power vested in me by Angie, I'm going to rename the firm.
The decentralized social media opportunity, personally, I totally agree with you, is huge. The fact that we have all been tied, sharing our content, sharing our deepest, darkest breakfast items, what we did yesterday, vacation spots, and then also deeper thoughts. And it is all out there, but we're the commodity. So where do you see this going, within our lifetime, but also kind of evolving this kind of technology interface, the societal changes that we're going to see alongside technology innovation when it comes to social media?
I do think there's been a shift. I think if you go back to social media, say 10 years ago, there was a compact. And the compact was you as a company, you say, hey, you give us your content, right? You log in, you post amazing things, and we are going to give you eyeballs. We're going to give you an audience. And even if you set aside crypto and Web3, that compact has shifted as people have come and said, like, hey, we want more of a voice and we want more of a say. And that has shown up in multiple ways. Like, for example, creators have gone to many platforms and said, like, hey, we are making a living from these platforms and we are bringing so much value, and we deserve a share of that value. And others have said, look, we are bringing so much to the platform and we need to have a say in how the platform has been governed. And these have obviously been playing out in multiple fashions all over the world. And when I look at decentralized social media, I kind of think of it as the ultimate expression of that, which is how do you have a platform where the economic and the governance is really not tied to any one central entity, but everyone has a say, right? And no one can, be really forced to use a interface of choice, and be either forcibly removed from the platform without an alternative. And let me make an example, right? So, today, if you had to go build an alternative client to Gmail, for example, you absolutely can, because email is always built that way. Anybody can use SMTP or IMAP protocol and absolutely build a client. If you had to go build an alternative client to, I don't want to pick on anybody, I'll just say brought it to an Instagram, to a TikTok, to a YouTube, you cannot do that. And there are a lot of good reasons why you cannot do that. I worked on the other side of that, but you just cannot do that. You need them to approve it. Most cases, you absolutely cannot. And one of the exciting things about decentralized social, and I'm just going to use Sparkcaster, which we are invested in as an example, is that you don't need any permission to go build any sort of interface, right? And what this means is it harnesses the innovation of the community, right? And so if you are a teenager with just a laptop and an internet connection anywhere in the world, you go, you open up your laptop and you can start building something super fun. And Farcaster has actually seen that. Like, one of the most exciting apps on top of Farcaster is somebody who took the client but then built an alternative visualization which makes it look a little bit more like Reddit, and they needed no permission from the centralized team. That is something definitionally not possible with any existing social media platform, right? So that's super exciting. The other part of it very exciting is that you now have the right to exit, right? Like, for example, if for some reason, the founding team doesn't like you, I always joke to Dan and Varun about this, right? You can obviously go build an alternative. And so these things are so foundational. And I think that it harnesses permissionless innovation.
The audience has been tied so much to these platforms, networks, if you will, if you're going to use the old, TV metaphor and broadcast networks analogy, that, you were a channel maybe on X or YouTube or whatever it is, right? But with decentralized social media, you actually become the network yourself. You are no longer tied to platforms. You are the platform. You are the platform, the content creator. You can aggregate your friends and your families to kind of like get critical mass of audience. You've been working closely with Elon. There's been so many changes at Twitter. It's now called X. There's also speculation that the platform is going to start incorporating crypto payments, since we saw Tesla briefly accepting Bitcoin payments back in 2021. What's your view on that? Your personal view? Whether or not you could speak for Elon, no one can speak for Elon. But obviously, what is kind of like within the realm of thinking when it comes to crypto and social media platforms like X? And what are the conversations like that you're having with Elon Musk?
When I get asked this, I always say one thing, which is says one person who speaks for Elon Musk, and you can find him at Elon Musk on X.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
very active.
I think we all know that.
He's very active, and you might get a response. Look, I obviously cannot speak for him or the team. But I am obviously a fan personally, and as a firm, we have been working with him and the team over there for a while. There's a few things I would say. The first is I personally was at Twitter for a few years, and one of the things that, and you talk to any existing or former Twitter employee, one of the things that always was sometimes frustrating was how do you get rapid product development done? And for Elon, and I know that he's not to everyone's taste, and some of my old colleagues may disagree with me, the truth is there's been so much rapid product development done over the last, year or so, or since he came in and took the reins. So, for example, the ability to upload video, the ability to kind of post longer form tweets, there's a bunch of stuff in there. And that seems very exciting to me. The fact that there's a lot of changes, not all of them are going to work, nor should they. What I think is exciting is that, just building amazing new things. As we're talking, there's obviously some very serious world events happening in the Middle East, and you're seeing so much of that conversation play out on X, and it being a crucial part of sort of the global conversation happening. So I always tell people this, I owe a lot to Twitter over the years, and X as it is now called. It has been foundation of my career. I met amazing people. It has meant a lot to me professionally, and I think it should and will continue to play a critical role in sort of being the home for discourse globally. And I'm excited. I know it's early days. I'm excited with all the product changes that are happening. I will say one thing: it is never boring. Right? And there is always something happening, but one thing it is not is it's never ever boring. And, I kind of like that.
So maybe we'll see. Okay, that was a good answer, non-answer. I like it, because maybe interesting future could be that we could see crypto payments. Look, who knows what's going to happen, but obviously if you're thinking broadly like that, we could see something very interesting. Okay, I want to also ask you about another innovation trend, reality that's becoming more and more entrenched in society, and I want to deep dive into the intersection of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and the perceived threat around it. How is Sriram thinking about it? What is the intersection of AI and blockchain? All the rest. Stay with us. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching Word on the Block. We'll be right back.
Companies around the world are struggling to catch up to the rise of artificial intelligence, or AI, as they continue to invest and adopt the latest trend. And we are just starting to unlock the benefits of this cutting-edge technology. So how can crypto, something that's inherently open and permissionless, unlock AI's true potential? More when we come back.
Forecast News is your gateway to all things blockchain, breaking down and breaking through the noise with the people who know it best and why it matters. The future is being built, and Forecast has it covered. This is Forecast News.
Welcome back to Word on the Block. We are here with Sriram Krishnan of A16Z. We're going to do it. A16Z.
We've gone British.
I'm going to give you, we're going to do some crypto payments on a decentralized social media platform at some point. We're going to do a poll. We're going to do all of it. Look, it's really fun to think about the future like that. And just the past year, I'd say, the acceleration of artificial intelligence into the modern day lexicon, it's displacing roles in real time. It is unlocking a lot of these tech barriers that was so expensive and once seemed impossible to overcome. And suddenly, a lot of business logic is changing. How should we think about that? What kind of ideas and implementation of artificial intelligence, how it should change business logic, and how are you thinking about that as a venture capitalist?
I think there is this kind of fantastic symbiosis between what AI and crypto can do together. Because if you look at the heart of AI, if you look at the last year, a lot of the amazing innovation in these large language models, just because of the capital needed, has been done by 2-3 companies, right? And huge props to all of them, to what Sam and Dario and all of them have done. But if you kind of go back to earlier conversation, right, I don't think the internet that we want should be centralized. I don't think any of us would want AI to be controlled by 2 or 3 large players, even if they're actually really good people. What we really want is for all of us to have a say. So there is a great quote that AI is a centralizing force and crypto is a decentralizing force. So if you look at heart of what crypto does very well is it gives people a say. It gives people a stake through all these interesting protocol and incentive mechanisms. And I'm hoping, and we obviously seen a couple of points of evidence of this. That's what crypto can bring to the table with AI. And I'll give you an example. So I was just mentioning this kind of ties into our UK conversation. We just announced a few months ago. We led around in my partner Ali Ayad led around in a company called Jensen. The heart of what they do is they try and bring distributed training to what can actually power large language models. And we had given this morning, we had this amazing discussion about okay, what kind of models and architectures can actually work on a distributed ecosystem, but maybe someday you can harness the CPU under your desk maybe. So, and that is an example of kind of really bringing some great ideas from crypto, which is incentive mechanisms, protocol design, aligning all these different stakeholders in a decentralized fashion into AI. So I think that's going to be really exciting. There's another theme I want to touch on, which is open source.
Like Llama.
Yes, that's a great example. So if you look at crypto,
yeah.
Vitalik had a very good tweet post. I'm just going to say tweet just to keep it simple. Vitalik had a very good tweet maybe about a year ago where he said a lot of the trust in crypto comes to the fact that you can look at it, inspect it, break it open, and sometimes mathematically prove it. But there is kind of an inherent openness at the heart of crypto. Now, the very nature of these large language models makes it much harder, right? And there's a lot of cutting edge work to be done on opening them up, interpreting them, understanding them. And I actually think open source is going to be a key part of AI. I know a lot of other people do. So, for example, you mentioned Llama. One of Jan LeCun of Meta, for example, is a great proponent of making things open source. And I think we as a firm in general are big fans of open source because, going back to earlier conversation, I think it harnesses sort of the global community. Anybody can open up a laptop and go participate. And maybe they have the next great crypto plus LLM training idea, right? Or they build something where you can have provenance to tie an artist piece of work to how the piece of work shows up in a generated DALL-E or Stable Diffusion model. And I think that is really, really powerful. And so I'm very much pro decentralization and open source.
I could talk about this with you for a long time. Lots of great conversations. A lot of great thinking from Suram Krishnan here.
Thank you. This was amazing. Super fun. And I think, if you're watching this, and especially watching this in the UK, I want to hear from you. Send me a DM, send me an email, smoke signal, whatever works. I want to hear from you. Ideas, suggestions, what we can do. But I'm here to listen.
One of the most intellectually curious humans in the world. Just sat down with him. Suram Krishnan, thank you. Thank you for this. Super appreciate having you on Word on the Block. And I want to thank everyone for watching this. Follow through, reach out to Suram. Smoke signals might be hard. DMs might be better on X or otherwise. So thank you all for joining us on this latest episode of Word on the Block. I'm Angie Lau, Forecast Editor-in-Chief. Until the next time.